All right. Um, our secret move for us to sculpt on a character without retopologizing it is by using a base mesh. So we can sculpt on it and then still use the mesh as our retopoled mesh. Now, what does that mean and how do we do it? First of all, we duplicated the character, our base mesh, and I just kept it there just in case. You should remember to always have copies of your model while working. Then the next step is to apply a mirror modifier, because the modifier we are going to be using in Blender is called multi-resolution modifier, and what that does is it basically sculpts, it generates more polygons and it sculpts, and while sculpting it still uses the same base mesh so that when you're done you have a low poly and you have a high poly. Now let us begin. First things first, you have to Control A, apply your mirror modifier, because for some reason it always bugs out. Now we will come over here, search multi-resolution. Now as you can see it has more polygons. Let's subdivide again, and for this we are going to have our reference up, because we just want to create simple sculpt. We don't want to create anything too complex. Let's use this guy for instance. Yeah, I think this would do for what we're looking for. Now for sculpting, I think one of the best things you can get is a graphics tablet, but if you can't, you can also use your mouse, but the mouse is not going to have pen pressure, and pen pressure really helps. So we need to turn on our X symmetry, and the first thing we'll do is let's work on the face, because it looks kind of weird now. We'll just use this as a rough base. It's not really what we're looking for, but I think we should work on the face a little bit. I'm using the clay strip brush. What I'm doing now is I'm just building the forms. I'm just building the parts. I'm just adding muscle tones and muscle definitions and just the form. Nothing complicated here. Putting in, this is not an anatomy study, this is just something I did. I purposefully did it quickly so that we can get to the end of the character. It's not something that we should spend too much time in. That's why I just think so. Adding the forms, adding the volumes, nothing serious, nothing complicated, just yeah, that's what I've been doing here. That's what I'm doing here. So yeah. Okay, let's just work with this. Let me give it a volume to the palm. All right, let us do this. First of all, we will Shift D, we'll duplicate the character. Let's hide it. The one we just duplicated, let's call it character high poly. Character high poly. And this guy, will call him character low poly. All right, now why do I call him character low poly? Because this is what we will use for our topologized mesh. But as you can see, if we go down, it takes its previous shape how it was before. as you can see. So what we have to do is we come back to our number 4, and then we go down to here, shape, to apply base. Now what that does is it gives us this as the base mesh, right? It gives us this as the base mesh. We are back to the way it was. For some reason, I just like to duplicate it and hide it. We won't be using it, but still. Now the next thing we'll do is we will delete the modifier, and then we are going to look for a shrink wrap modifier and put on it. Then this character high poly, we apply the modifier on this. As you can see, the mesh is dense. We can't use this for animation, but we can use the low poly, the one of low poly. Yeah, so we apply this to the character high poly, and as you can see, it has taken the shape of the character. Now here's the next thing we have to do. I applied it. Don't worry, all these parts that come together would fix it. So there's this great add-on. It's now an extension in Blender 4.5, or used to be an add-on before. The name is Polyquilt. It's one of the best retopology tools made for Blender, right? If you go into edit mode, it's right over here, and you can use it for whatever you want, right? You can use it to retopologize, you can use it to do whatever it is you want to do, right? Look at this, adding, yeah. So but what we need it for is the poly seam, and what that does is essentially it's, let me turn on, okay, mirrors right, turn on. It's really fast when it comes to UV unwrapping. So we'll quickly unwrap the character now. As you can see, the character isn't wrapped. We will unwrap the character. Now for unwrapping, you have to think about the character like a toy, and what you're doing basically, it's something that you place on a flat surface. So you have to keep that in mind when doing your UV unwrap. By holding control and left click, you can easily mark a seam rather than the old way, which I always said was really unintuitive. So let's mark all the seams that we need. If ever the add-on acts funny, just close Blender and start again. It's going to be just fine. Now let's press A, U, unwrap angle base, and cool. It has given us quite decent UVs. What I like to do is I like to pack UVs, but before that, the places that will be shown more, I just like to scale them up, because once you start sculpting, once you start texture painting and then you sculpt everything, you need it to show properly. So these parts, I'll scale it up. I'll click A, right click, think pack UV is not here, F3, pack UVs, pack island, you see, and click on pack. And usually to do a decent job keeping the size you put. Now, is this the most optimal way to get your UVs done? Probably not, but come on, who's gonna stop me, you know? Let's see inside. There should be a UV map inside here. All right, let me use polyquilts, put a UV map here. Okay, what do we do now? Now we have our character. Just for good measure, we are going to shrink wrap it again to the high poly. Look at our seams. Now, this is one of the things I spoke about and why I like making copies, right? This is why I like making copies. This is the exact reason. For some reason, the shrink wrap has utterly destroyed the hands. So let me just apply. Let me just apply this high poly shrink wrap. Destroy the hand. So this is what we do. Pretty simple. We'll come and we'll delete the hands. X faces. And this, I'm just glad that this happened now. Let's turn on the other one. Let's shift D and P selection, and let's hide this guy back. This one, no need to rename it. Let's just turn on the other one. Low poly, yeah, low poly. You just attach this, Ctrl J, and what we can do is, by using the poly quilt, we'll come over. Okay, I think we'll just click on poly quilt, just the poly quilt. We will use the edges. We'll just simply match. Just simply match the edges. Just simply match it. It has a magnet thing. By distance, right? Okay, cool. Now let's Ctrl R. Okay. Ctrl R here. Come back to polyseam. But before that, this is what we do in order to avoid that problem. I didn't really check it out, but in order to avoid that problem, we make sure we're in face select mode, click on L, and then we go into vertex. We create a vertex group and we click don't. And now I'll explain that in a moment. We've clicked on it. Let us do our UV seams. U unwrap, then we shrink it, we press A, and then we back islands. Cool. Now if you go into your character and you click on shrink wrap and you set it to the high poly character, as you can see, it has come to that point again, and we don't want that. Now we'll click on the don't, and then it leaves the hands. Unfortunately, the hands, really, we don't have a lot on the hands. We don't have a lot of information on the hands, but in order to avoid that issue, let's just say this is cool. Now what next we have to do, we have to bake this the high poly and the low poly. We have to bake the high poly on the low poly, then we can move over to the texture painting aspect of it.